The strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the ones who never feel pressure. They're the ones who've learned to feel it without showing it. Watch any negotiation, any heated discussion, any moment where stakes are high. The person who wins isn't always the one with better arguments. It's the one who maintains their center while chaos swirls around them. They have something others don't, the ability to feel the storm without becoming it. You've seen this. Someone walks into a room full of tension. Everyone's anxious, talking fast, emotions running wild. Then this person speaks. Their energy is different, measured, grounded, and suddenly everyone else starts to settle. Not because of what they said, but because of what they didn't do. They didn't absorb the chaos. They didn't amplify it. They just stood there, solid as a lighthouse in rough waters. That's not a personality trait you're born with. It's a skill you build. And today, you're going to learn exactly how to build it. We're going to break down why emotional volatility destroys credibility, how your nervous system sabotages you before you even speak, and the exact techniques that turn pressure into your competitive advantage. Before we start, I want you to commit to something right now. Say this out loud. I am the calm in every storm. Say it like you mean it, because by the time we're done, you'll understand why those 7 words contain more authority than 1,000 perfectly crafted arguments. Let's dive in. Here's what nobody tells you about high-stakes conversations. Your argument doesn't matter if your delivery is broken. You can have ironclad logic. You can have undeniable evidence. You can be objectively, factually, completely correct. But the moment your composure cracks, everything you say loses weight. Why? Because humans are wired to trust stability. We evolved to follow those who look like they can handle danger without falling apart. When someone sees you losing control, voice rising, hands trembling, words rushing out, their brain makes an instant calculation. This person is overwhelmed. If they can't handle this conversation, how can they handle real pressure? It's not fair. It's not logical, but it's reality. Sun Tzu wrote, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." But he also understood that opportunity only belongs to those who can see clearly when everyone else is blinded by emotion. Chaos doesn't create opportunity for the panicked. It creates opportunity for the composed. Think about the last argument you witnessed. Maybe at work, maybe online, maybe at a family dinner. 2 people going at it. One of them is clearly right. Facts on their side, better reasoning, stronger case. But they're getting frustrated. Their voice is strained. They keep repeating themselves, trying harder and harder to make the other person understand. The other person? Maybe they're wrong, but they're calm. They smile slightly. They pause before responding. They never raise their voice. Who looks better to everyone watching? The calm one. Every single time. This is the brutal truth. Perception shapes reality. When you appear unshaken, people assume you have a reason to be unshaken. They think you know something they don't. They give you the benefit of the doubt. They listen more carefully. They question their own position. But when you appear rattled, they assume the opposite. Even if you're completely right, they think, if their argument was so strong, why are they so defensive? Your nervousness becomes evidence against you. This shows up everywhere. Picture yourself in a performance review. Your manager brings up a concern about your work. You have a perfectly valid explanation. 2 ways this goes. Version 1, your heart starts racing. You jump in immediately, talking faster than usual. No, that's not. Let me explain. What happened was you're interrupting yourself, trying to get everything out before they make up their mind. Your hands are moving. Your voice has that slight edge of defensiveness. Even though you're innocent, you look guilty. You feel that same spike of adrenaline. But this time, you don't react to it. You take one slow breath. You maintain eye contact. You say, "I appreciate you bringing that up. Let me walk you through what happened." Your voice is level. Your body is still. You explain the exact same facts as version 1. Which version keeps their job? Which version gets promoted? The second one. Not because the explanation was different. Because the energy was different. Your composure is your credibility. Guard it like your reputation depends on it. Because it does. Let's get tactical. Because understanding that composure matters is step 1. Actually maintaining it when your nervous system is screaming is step 2. In any tense moment, your body starts talking before you do. And it's often saying things you don't want it to say. Anxiety leaks through 1,000 microsignals. Fidgeting fingers, shifting weight, darting eyes, a throat that keeps clearing. Each one broadcasts the same message. I'm uncomfortable. I am uncertain. I'm losing control. People read these signals faster than you think. Research shows we make judgments about someone's confidence and competence within 3 seconds. 3 seconds. That's before you've finished your opening sentence. They're not judging your words yet. They're judging your presence. The relationship between body and mind isn't one way. Most people assume it works like this. I'm nervous, therefore my body shows nervousness. But it actually works both ways. Your body can create nervousness, and more importantly, your body can eliminate it. This is your leverage. You can't always control your thoughts when stress hits. Your mind will race. Doubts will flood in. That's normal. But you can always control 3 physical elements. And when you control them, your mind follows. First, your breath. When stress activates, breathing becomes shallow and rapid. You're pulling air into your upper chest, triggering your sympathetic nervous system, the part responsible for fight or flight response. This shuts down your prefrontal cortex, the part that handles complex thinking and emotional regulation. Your emotional brain hijacks your rational brain. That's why people say things they regret in arguments. That's why obvious solutions disappear when you're panicking. Your smart brain went offline. The fix is mechanical. Deep belly breathing. For seconds in through your nose. For seconds hold. 6 seconds out through your mouth. Do this 3 times. Your parasympathetic nervous system activates, the part responsible for rest and digest. Heart rate decreases. Cortisol drops. Your prefrontal cortex comes back online. Now you can think. Second, your physical foundation. How you hold your body directly impacts how your brain interprets the situation. Collapsed posture, shoulders rounded, chest caved, head down, signals defeat to your brain before the conversation even starts. Your brain reads your body and thinks, we're in a weak position. Stand or sit like you already won. Not arrogant, just grounded. Feet planted firmly. Spine straight, but not rigid. Shoulders back, but relaxed. Head level, not tilted down or up. This isn't about intimidating anyone. It's about sending your brain the right message. We're solid. We're stable. We're not in danger. Keep your hands visible and purposeful. Not gripping the table. Not clutching your arms. Not fiddling with objects. Just resting calmly where they can be seen. Hidden hands make people subconsciously distrust you. Fidgeting hands broadcast nervousness. Still, visible hands project confidence. Third, your vocal cadence. Stress does predictable things to your voice. It speeds up, trying to rush through discomfort. It rises in pitch, making you sound younger and less authoritative. It gets louder or quieter in unpredictable bursts as you lose control of your diaphragm. The countermove is simple but requires discipline. Deliberately slow your speech to about 75% of your normal pace. Lower your pitch by speaking from your diaphragm, not your throat. Maintain consistent volume. Not loud, not quiet, just steady. Most powerful of all, embrace silence. When you don't know what to say, don't fill the gap with or nervous laughter. Just pause. Let 3 seconds of silence exist. It feels like an eternity to you. To everyone else, it looks like thoughtfulness. It looks like control. Here's what happens when you master these 3 elements. You create a feedback loop between your body and brain. Your body acts calm. Your brain reads those signals and thinks, okay, maybe we're not under threat. Your actual internal state starts matching your external presentation. You're not faking calm anymore. You're creating it. And here's the invisible advantage. When you stay physically composed while someone else escalates, their brain notices the mismatch. They're throwing emotional energy at you, raising their voice, getting animated, and you're just standing there, breathing normally, speaking calmly. This creates cognitive dissonance in them. They start questioning their own reaction. Why am I so worked up? Why isn't this person reacting? Do they see something I'm missing? Your stillness makes their chaos look unreasonable. You don't have to call them out. You don't have to say calm down. Your composure does all the talking. Your body becomes your argument, and it's more convincing than words could ever be. Now we talk about the mental game. The most dangerous trap in any confrontation is making it personal. The moment you feel attacked, the moment your ego gets involved, that's when strategic thinking dies. Someone questions your judgment. Someone criticizes your work. Someone disrespects you publicly. The instinct is immediate and powerful. This is about me. I need to defend myself. I need to prove them wrong. I need to protect my reputation right now. That instinct will destroy you. Because once you're defending your ego, you're not solving problems anymore. You're not thinking 3 moves ahead. You're not considering long-term consequences. You're just trying to win this moment, no matter what it costs you tomorrow. This is where psychological distance becomes your secret weapon. Distance doesn't mean you don't care about outcomes. It means you refuse to let your sense of self-worth rise and fall with every comment, every criticism, every challenge. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, practiced this constantly. He wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed. Don't feel harmed, and you haven't been." He understood that most damage isn't done to you. It's done by you, by how you interpret and react to external events. Practical example. You're presenting a proposal you've spent weeks developing. Halfway through, someone interrupts. "I don't think this approach makes sense. We tried something similar last year, and it failed. I'm not sure why we're wasting time on this." 2 paths unfold. Path 1. Taking it personally, your chest tightens. That's your work they're dismissing. Your time they're calling wasted. You feel heat rising. You respond with an edge in your voice. If you'd let me finish, you'd see this addresses exactly why last year failed. This is completely different. Now that there's tension, the room feels it. Even if you're right, you've created an adversary. That person will now resist your idea just to avoid looking wrong. Your emotional reaction made this harder, not easier. Path 2. Creating distance. You hear the same comment. You feel that same initial flash of defensiveness. But you catch it. You step back mentally for 1 second. You think, this isn't an attack on me. This is information. Maybe a valid concern. Maybe resistance I need to address. Either way, not personal. You respond differently. That's a valuable point. The failure last year is exactly why we designed this differently. What specific aspect concerns you most? Watch the shift. The tension that could have built never materializes. The person either explains their concern, helping you strengthen your proposal, or realizes they don't have a solid objection. Either way, you win. Not by fighting, by refusing to make a fight. This is what distance does. It gives you space between what happens and how you respond. In that space lives your power. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, discovered this space and called it humanity's ultimate freedom. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Most people have no space. Something happens, they react. Someone says something, they immediately respond emotionally. Stimulus, response. Stimulus, response. They're on autopilot, controlled by external events. But when you create distance, you insert choice. Someone criticizes you. You feel the sting. But instead of immediately defending, you observe the feeling. Interesting. I'm feeling defensive right now. That observation creates space. In that space, you ask better questions. Is this criticism accurate? Even if it's delivered poorly, is there truth here? How do I want to handle this in a way that serves me long term? Sometimes the answer is address it directly but calmly. Sometimes it's ignore it completely because it's not worth your energy. Sometimes it's use this as an opportunity to demonstrate how well you handle pressure. The point is, you're choosing. You're not being controlled by your immediate emotional response. And that choice is where all your power lies. Here's the brutal truth most people avoid. When you take things personally, you give other people power over you. Their opinion of you determines your emotional state. Their criticism ruins your day. Their approval makes your day. You're letting external forces control your internal experience. When you create distance, you take that power back. Someone doesn't like your work? That's data, not a verdict on your worth. Someone questions your competence? That's their perspective, not objective reality. Someone disrespects you? That reveals more about them than about you. You evaluate. You decide what's useful. You let the rest go. Nothing controls you because you're not attached to any of it in a way that breaks you. This takes practice. Your first instinct will always be to take things personally. That's natural. The skill is catching yourself in that moment and choosing differently. Over time, the space between stimulus and response gets bigger. Eventually, it becomes your default. Someone comes at you hard, and your first thought isn't, how dare they, but how should I handle this strategically? That's when you become dangerous. Not because you're aggressive, because you're uncontrollable. No one can manipulate you emotionally. No one can provoke you into mistakes. No one can make you act against your own interests. You're playing a different game than everyone else. One where emotions don't make the decisions. Now we leverage everything. Because staying composed isn't just defensive. It's offensive. It's a tool that reshapes entire situations in your favor. When everything's falling apart, when voices are raised, when tension peaks, the calm person becomes the center of gravity. Everyone else is adding energy to the chaos. You're not. And that difference is magnetic. People unconsciously calibrate to the strongest emotional frequency in a room. Usually that's the loudest, most intense person. But calm is a stronger frequency than chaos. It's just quieter. When you maintain composure while everyone else spirals, something interesting happens. They start matching your energy instead of you matching theirs. They wanted you to escalate with them. That's what their nervous system expected. When you don't, it short-circuits their pattern. They get confused. They start lowering their voice to match yours. They start slowing down. And most importantly, they start looking to you for cues on how to proceed. This is how you gain authority without a title. Authority doesn't come from your position on an org chart. It comes from who people turn to when things get uncertain. And they always turn to the calm one. The one who looks like they know what to do next. Even if you don't have all the answers, if you project composure, people assume competence. Let me give you a specific scenario. Family gathering. Political topic comes up. Uncle Bob and Aunt Sarah start arguing. Volume increasing. Other people jumping in, picking sides. Energy getting hostile. Classic situation that ruins dinners. Everyone expects you to either join a side or stay silent. Instead, you do something different. You stay completely calm. You don't pick a side. You don't try to determine who's right. You just lower the temperature. Hey, I think we all actually want the same things. We just disagree on how to get there. Can we take it down a notch? Your voice is calm. Your body language is open. You're not judging anyone. You're just introducing a different energy. What happens? 9 times out of 10, people actually pause. The spell breaks. Someone laughs nervously, says, "Yeah, you're right." The conversation either shifts topics or continues at a lower intensity. Why? Because your calmness gave everyone permission to de-escalate without losing face. You offered an exit ramp from a collision course. That's the power of maintained composure. It doesn't just protect you. It influences the entire dynamic. You become the person who changes rooms just by being in them. This works in professional settings even more powerfully. Project going off the rails. Deadline missed. Client unhappy. Team meeting where everyone's stressed, pointing fingers, talking over each other, try to explain why it's not their fault. You're stressed too. You have every reason to be, but you don't show it. You sit there calm. You listen to everyone vent. Then you speak, voice measured. All right, we're here now. Blame doesn't help us. What do we need to do in the next 24 hours to fix this? Instantly, you've reframed everything. From chaos to action. From emotional to practical. From problem-focused to solution-focused. And because you delivered it calmly, people listen. They follow your lead. Suddenly you're running the meeting, even if you're not the senior person in the room. That's leadership, not the title, the presence. The ability to stay grounded when everyone else is floating away on emotion. Organizations promote people who can do this. They fire people who can't, regardless of technical skill. Because technical skill without composure creates problems. Composure without perfect technical skill still creates illusions. Here's the strategic element people miss. Calmness creates asymmetric advantage in negotiations. When you're negotiating salary, contract, deal terms, anything, the person who cares less wins. Or more accurately, the person who appears to care less wins. If you seem desperate, if you seem emotionally invested in getting the specific outcome, you have no leverage. The other side knows they can wait you out, push harder, offer less. But if you're calm, if you project that you're fine either way, that you have options, that this matters but doesn't define you, suddenly you have leverage. They start worrying you'll walk. They start making concessions to keep you engaged. Your composure becomes negotiating power. You're not faking indifference. You're just not letting your internal hopes and fears leak through your presentation. You maintain the same level, calm energy whether they're offering you your dream outcome or lowballing you. And that consistency makes them uncertain. They can't read you. They can't manipulate you emotionally. So they have to compete on actual value. One more layer. Calm people become trusted with bigger problems. Think about who gets called when a crisis hits. Not the most talented person. Not the hardest worker. The person who won't lose their head when things go sideways. The person who can think clearly under pressure. The person who makes others feel safer just by showing up. That reputation is priceless. It opens doors, creates opportunities, puts you in rooms where decisions get made. All because you mastered something most people never even attempt. Keeping your center when the world tilts. Calmness isn't weakness. It's not passivity. It's strategic dominance disguised as serenity. It's you staying on your game while everyone else falls off theirs. And over time, it becomes your most valuable asset. Everything we've covered so far compounds into something bigger, your reputation. And reputation is the ultimate force multiplier. Because once you've consistently demonstrated composure, people start treating you differently before interactions even begin. Here's how it works. Stay calm once, people think it's a fluke. They just weren't that invested, or they must have been in a good mood. They don't change their perception of you. But stay calm consistently. Every stressful moment, every confrontation, every crisis, and people start labeling you. That's the person who never cracks. Once that label sticks, it becomes self-reinforcing. Your reputation starts doing work before you even enter the room. People adjust their approach based on what they expect. If they know you don't respond to emotional manipulation, they don't try it. If they know you won't panic under pressure, they bring you into high-pressure situations. If they know you can't be rattled, they stop trying to rattle you. This creates a shield. Not one that protects you from challenges, but one that filters the quality of challenges you face. You stop dealing with petty drama because people know it won't work on you. You start dealing with real problems that require calm thinking because people know you're one of the few who can handle them. Think about someone in your life who's known for never losing their cool. Really never. How do people interact with them? Carefully, respectfully, with their best behavior. Because everyone knows that emotional outbursts, manipulation tactics, and pressure moves won't work. So they don't waste energy trying. They come correct from the start. Now, think about someone who's always reactive, always emotional, quick to anger or panic. How do people treat them? They might avoid them, or they might use that reactivity against them, knowing exactly which buttons to push. That person has a reputation too, just not one that serves them. The reputation you build through consistent composure opens doors that stay closed to everyone else. Executive presence. That's what people call it in corporate settings. It's not about being the smartest or most experienced. It's about being the one who looks like they belong in high-stakes situations because they don't fall apart in them. Here's what makes this truly powerful. Consistency creates predictability, and predictability creates trust. Even if people don't always agree with you, if they know you'll always be measured, always be reasonable, always be calm, they trust you. They know what they're getting. No surprises, no explosions, just steady presence. That trust translates into influence. When decisions need to be made, people listen to those they trust. When conflicts need mediating, people turn to those they trust. When opportunities arise, people think of those they trust. Your consistent composure builds all of this passively in the background without you even trying. But here's the hard part. Building this reputation requires relentless consistency. You can't be calm for 3 months, then blow up at someone and expect your reputation to survive intact. It won't, because people remember outliers. They remember the one time you lost it far more than the 99 times you didn't. One public loss of control can undo months of disciplined behavior. That's not fair, but it's true, which means the standard is high. You have to commit fully, not when convenient, not when you feel like it. Always, in every situation, with every person, under every circumstance. That sounds exhausting, and initially it is. You're fighting your natural reactions. You're catching yourself. You're consciously choosing different responses. It takes energy and attention. But over time, something shifts. Composure stops being something you do and starts being something you are. It becomes automatic. Your default. The wiring in your brain literally changes through repetition. Then, maintaining composure takes less energy than losing it. You built the neural pathways, developed the muscle memory, created the identity. You're not pretending to be calm anymore. You're someone who is genuinely unfazed by things that would have broken you before. And once you reach that point, once your reputation for composure is fully established and internalized, the world treats you differently. Opportunities seek you out. People want you on their team. Organizations want you in leadership. Why? Because everyone's looking for the same thing. Someone who won't fall apart when it matters most. That person is rare. Most people will panic, get emotional, lose clarity under pressure. If you're the exception, you become invaluable. Not because you never feel pressure, because you've trained yourself to feel it without showing it, to experience stress without spreading it, to face chaos without becoming it. That's the reputation worth building. That's the identity worth embodying. The person who stays unshaken. Not because nothing bothers them, but because they've mastered something everyone else neglects. The gap between feeling and reacting. In that gap, they choose differently. And that choice, repeated thousands of times, becomes who they are. We've covered a lot of ground. Let's bring it home. Real power in any confrontation, any pressure situation, any moment where stakes are high. It's never about dominance. It's never about having the loudest voice or the sharpest words. It's about something quieter and far more potent. Unshakable presence. When someone can't control themselves, they can't control anything else. Their emotions hijack their strategy. Their reactions undermine their arguments. Their volatility destroys their credibility. They might win occasional battles through sheer intensity, but they lose the war. Because nobody trusts someone who falls apart. But when you've mastered composure, when you've trained your body to stay steady and your mind to maintain distance, when you've built a reputation for never breaking, you don't have to fight most battles. Your presence alone changes the calculation. People approach you differently, respect you instinctively, listen more carefully, trust more readily. The techniques we covered aren't complicated. Control your breathing, ground your body, slow your speech, create psychological distance. Stay calm while others escalate. Do this consistently until it becomes who you are. Simple but not easy. It requires discipline, daily practice, catching yourself hundreds of times before it becomes automatic. But here's what makes the effort worth it. Every other skill you have becomes more effective when built on a foundation of composure. Doesn't matter how smart you are if you can't think clearly under pressure. Doesn't matter how right you are if you can't communicate it calmly. Doesn't matter how much experience you have if you panic when challenged. Composure is the multiplier that makes everything else work. It's the invisible advantage that separates those who get promoted from those who get passed over. Those who lead from those who follow. Those who win from those who merely survive. So start practicing today. Not in the big moments, in the small ones. When traffic frustrates you, when a coworker annoys you, when someone online says something stupid. These are your training grounds. Each one is an opportunity to choose differently, to breathe instead of react, to pause instead of explode, to stay grounded instead of getting pulled into chaos. Over time, those small choices compound. You'll notice yourself staying calm in situations that used to trigger you. You'll catch yourself about to lose composure and pull back. You'll see other people stress and realize it doesn't have to become yours. Eventually, you'll be the person others look to when everything's falling apart. Not because you have all the answers, because you have something better, presence. That's real strength. Not the absence of pressure, but the ability to feel it without cracking. Not the absence of emotion, but the ability to experience it without being controlled by it. Not the absence of challenge, but the ability to face it with clarity instead of chaos. Before we wrap up, I want you to say something one more time. Say it out loud. Say it with intention. Say it like you're making a promise to yourself. I am the calm in every storm. That's not just a mantra. That's your new identity. Live up to it. In every conversation, every conflict, every moment where the world tries to shake you. Be the one thing that doesn't move. Be the calm. Be unshaken. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to develop this skill. Subscribe if you want more content on strategic psychology and building real power. And remember, the strongest move in any confrontation is the one nobody sees. The moment you feel pressure and choose not to show it. Master that moment, and you master everything else. You're not just learning techniques here. You're building an identity. The identity of someone who cannot be shaken. Now go prove it.